The story begins with Kaya Kazuhisa, an overly bullied high school kid, setting a trap in the middle of the woods. Kazu wanted to exact revenge on his bully classmate by setting him on fire and finishing him off with a bamboo spear. With this bully having power and money, even other students or teachers can't go against him. So, before he gets bullied to death, Kazu plans on ending it first. Just as Kazu expected, after he set the trap, his bully eventually entered the scene. Kazu immediately hides and waits for his bully to fall for the trap. But a brief earthquake caused his plan to flop. Irritated by what happened, Kazu almost snapped, until he hears some heavy footsteps coming his way again. Then suddenly, someone fell into the trap. Thinking it must be his bully, Kazu immediately set the whole thing on fire and started stabbing the person inside. But his expression suddenly sank when he saw the murdered body inside and started vanishing. At that moment, he finally realized that he didn't murder his bully, but instead a wild orc. Then all of a sudden, within just a blink of an eye, Kazu finds himself getting transported into a white room with nothing but a chair, a table, and a laptop. To his surprise, his name is shown on the computer screen with his level and skill point indicated. Confused, Kazu tried asking the computer some questions, but the device could not answer most of his inquiries. Although everything is still a blur, the computer did mention some important details about the situation, starting by indicating that this is not a dream. While Kazu is inside this room, he needs to defeat enemies to level up and get skill points. He can then use these skill points to acquire skills, and once he closes the skill window, he'll return to his original location. But above all, what really caught Kazu's attention is the fact that as long as he stays inside the room, time doesn't pass outside. However, in cases where Kazu died fighting, the room cannot revive him anymore. At first, Kazu is unsure about whether he should accept this challenge or not. But with around 17 types of skills he can acquire, Kazu is starting to have second thoughts. With only a total skill point of 2, Kazu chooses carefully what skills he wants to acquire. As he is about to press the enter button, the thought of becoming a hero crosses his mind. But before he starts overthinking about it, Kazu aggressively pressed the enter button. Within seconds, he was immediately teleported back to where he was before entering that room. Now equipped with newly acquired skills, Kazu went on to test out his summoning skill by summoning a raven. For a first-timer, Kazu did pretty well. However, Kazu was not prepared when he heard the raven talk, informing him that an orc was wandering around on the road. Without hesitation, Kazu prepared himself to fight. Using his bestowal magic, he went on to cast a spell called Mighty Arm and Physical Up to strengthen his body and weapon. With still a lot of questions in mind, Kazu is eager to defeat this orc so that he can go to that room once again. Without giving much effort, Kazu managed to defeat the orc instantly. Despite that, Kazu didn't level up, which is something he already expected. After all, the exp needed to increase from one level to another couldn't possibly be the same for each level. But suddenly, he noticed a sparkling stone right on top of the orc's body. As he went to take a closer look, Kazu was surprised to see that it was actually a ruby. Thinking that it must be a drop item, he went on to immediately check the other orc he had taken down a while ago. As expected, there was one on the first orc, too. Then suddenly, his assistant, Raven, informs him that another orc is nearby, but this time it is chasing a human. He rushes to where the orc is, and to his surprise, a girl is getting harassed by this dirty and raunchy orc. While the orc is still distracted, Kazu plans on doing a sneaky attack and ambushing the orc from behind. But before he could get even closer, the girl, still disorientated, looked at him with shock. At this point, Kazu expected the girl to betray him and start screaming, completely blowing up his cover. Just thinking about getting betrayed caused Kazu to have painful flashbacks on how he became a target of bullying after defending a bullied schoolmate, who ended up joining the bullies in harassing him. Because of that, Kazu started having issues trusting anyone ever since. That is why he was so shocked when the girl didn't screw up his cover and even helped him distract the orc. When he finally found the perfect timing to attack, Kazu immediately stabbed the orc right in the neck with his sharp spear. However, despite the weapon slipping through end to end, the orc still managed to keep its consciousness and even started looking for its sword. Kazu tried his best to defeat the creature with one blow, but this particular orc has a tank-like body, making it hard for Kazu to land another hit. But fortunately, Kazu managed to grab his weapon and stab the orc again. This time around, he finally defeated it. As Kazu's level increases, he is then transported back to the White Room. While he is inside, he plans on using as much time as he wants to carefully think about what to do next. After fighting orcs 3 times, Kazu understands a lot of things. One is that he believes he cannot really fight, and that he just got lucky this time. Since he is not that strong as a fighter, Kazu plans on summoning a pupper golem next time, since the strength of 2 golems is equal to 1 orc. But after realizing that there are enemies other than orcs, Kazu suddenly thought of finding someone to be his vanguard. The only person he has in mind right now is the girl from a while ago. Remembering how the girl trusted him and helped him distract the orc, Kazu is starting to consider her as a candidate for the position. Although anxious of getting betrayed again, Kazu chose to believe and put his trust in her too, just like how she did a while ago. As Kazu went on to exit the skill tab, he got teleported back to the real world. Covered in bruises because of the fight, Kazu coughs heavily because of the pain. Then the girl, barely half naked, went on to introduce herself as Shimazono Arisu, a third-year junior high school student. After formally introducing themselves to one another, Ari went on to thank Kazu for his help. Meanwhile, Kazu couldn't even look at her straight, quite distracted by her massive melons. After fixing up her uniform, the two sat down for a bit and talked about what had just happened. Curious, Ari asks Kazu why his hands and feet are glowing. Kazu stuttered for a bit, quite worried that Ari would not believe his story. But with such a determined expression, Ari assures him that she'll believe it no matter what. With Ari's cute face, Kazu couldn't bring himself to say no. After explaining everything, Ari remained quiet, astonished by the information Kazu had just shared. Meanwhile, Kazu is starting to get worried again, as he would really get in trouble if Ari gets curious as to why he made those traps in the first place. But thankfully, Ari didn't pry on those. Ari then shares her side of the story. According to her, their school was attacked by orcs. Because of the chaos, she got separated from the rest, causing her to get chased by that wacky orc. Thankfully, Kazu came and saved her. After seeing how strong Kazu is, Ari realized that becoming strong is exactly what she aspires to be. Eager to grow, Ari begs Kazu to lend her his strength as she doesn't want to be weak anymore. Seeing how Ari is really eager to do this, Kazu finally decided to take her in. Eventually, on the same day, a 4th orc shows up. But this time around, the orc has a spear weapon, which is bad news for Kazu. Although he created a pitfall trap to close the gap in their strengths, with this creature having a weapon of its own, Kazu is worried that it will be able to attack them from inside the pitfall, too. That's why Kazu lends some of his spells to Ari, prepping her for the fight they're about to tackle. On top of that, Kazu also learned about a new skill called Blood Attraction. This skill allows them to heal their wounds as long as they manage to hurt an enemy. Since this is still Ari's first time fighting, in the meantime, Kazu tells her to hide in the bushes while he tries to make the orc fall for the trap. But first, Kazu plans on taking that spear away from the orc by asking his raven for help. As he tried to initiate his plans, Kazu suddenly stumbled, giving the orc an opening to attack. However, this is actually part of Kazu's plan to distract the orc while the crow initiates the attack. Fortunately, they managed to pull the plan off without issues. Since the pitfall cut deeply into the orc, Kazu immediately calls for Ari, asking her to do her best in stabbing the orc as many times as she could. Although at first she was so nervous to do it, but with Kazu's encouragement, she was able to do it in the end. Ari's aura suddenly changed, making Kazu wonder if she also leveled up just like he did. Ari then revealed that she had taken spear arts and healing magic before. Since Kazu stumbled a while ago, Ari immediately checks up on his wounds and heals them with her magic. After that tiring fight, Ari expresses her amazement about the White Room. After Kazu decided to take her into the group, Ari was able to enter the White Room and select her skills properly. Now that they are already comrades, the two have started getting comfortable with each other. For the first time in a long time, Kazu happily smiled. Since their weapons got damaged from all the fighting, Kazu went on to repair them with his now rank 2 support magic. Now, with a spear of her own, Ari feels like she is one step closer to her goal of becoming strong. Considering how their fight ended a while ago, Kazu and Ari mutually decided to finally form a party. Now, officially comrades, Kazu wanted them to head to the station to get a proper grasp of the current situation after what happened. Their school, Kitayama Academy, is located in the mountains called Kitayama. But to their surprise, when they got there were no signs of any stations at all. Already starting to get a little nervous, Ari just let out an awkward smile, jokingly asking Kazu which way the station is. Even Kazu doesn't have any answers, so they just decided to go on and find another way. However, Kazu already expected this to happen. When he was in the White Room, he asked a lot about this. That's why he came here to confirm that. Based on his own assumptions, probably during that earthquake, the whole mountain was caught up in a big disaster. With so many questions in mind, Kazu decided to just move forward for now and ask the White Room about it once they level up. The two then went on to take down monsters one after another. Finally starting to get confident with their skills, Kazu wants them to discuss their plans. From the crow's search, Kazu got some information that the orcs are coming down from the top of the mountains. But before Kazu could even finish, Ari nervously asked him for a favor to save her friend. They got separated in school, and Ari wanted to go back there and save her friend from the hands of the orcs. Ari's best friend, Ryuki Tamaki, was energetic and always running. Although Ari was not good at sports, she found herself enjoying watching Tamaki play and running. Until one day, Tamaki invited her to join them. Even though Ari was not good at socializing, thanks to Tamaki, she was able to make a lot of friends. Even during the time the orcs attacked their school, Tamaki remained good to Ari, even using herself as a decoy so that Ari could escape. Considering the situation, Ari was so scared and ran away in a daze, but another orc found her. During that time, Kazu's family managed to find her. Although a lot of things have already happened, Kazu still believes that Tamaki is alive. Despite the circumstances, Ari cried, really eager to go and save her friend. According to Ari, the last place she and Tamaki went was the Training Institute. Although Kazu has already heard about the place, he hasn't technically stepped on the place. Based on what he knows, the Training Institute is a multi-purpose facility renovated from an old school building. Considering the situation, deep inside, Kazu actually thinks that Tamaki is dead already. But he refuses to believe that, knowing Ari might go by herself to save her friend. Since the situation has already worsened, Kazu tries to avoid a double disaster at all costs. Because of that, he made it clear to Ari that if things seem to get worse, they have to turn back no matter what, and Ari immediately agreed with Kazu. But before they finally start, Kazu also has one condition, and that is for Ari to level up. Since it's already turning dark, the two only have 30 minutes to level up. Despite how hard it is, Kazu still thinks that it is nice for Ari to have a goal, as it gives her a proper reason to get stronger. On top of that, despite them only knowing each other for less than a day, Ari always charges ahead for him, making Kazu feel like he should also do the same for her. So even though it is exhausting and dangerous, the duo managed to continue taking down two more orcs. Now that they are already a party, if a member levels up, all the members will enter this room. As they got inside, they were rather surprised to see that they now had an individual PC for monitoring their stats. Ari then notices that there is a new section in the status page, a section that allows the members to disable others from accompanying them to enter the room. But other than that, Kazu feels like there's nothing for them to consult the room for now. Curious, Kazu asks Ari if there's anything she wants to ask. Hesitantly, Ari shyly asks Kazu if he could share something about himself. Shocked, Kazu just smiled and stated that he finds his story boring. Ari didn't want to force Kazu to tell her anything he didn't want to share, so she immediately changed the topic, stating that they could just talk about it someday. While Ari upgrades her skills, Kazu couldn't help but wonder if they can actually work together for so long. As they got out of the White Room, Ari started shaking after witnessing a gruesome scene where the orcs displayed a real human head out in the open. Kazu immediately assures her that it is not a student, but an adult, a teacher perhaps. Enraged because of the damage these orcs have done to everyone, Ari asks Kazu to let her handle this fight on her own. Although Kazu was having second thoughts at first, with Ari's constant persuasion, Kazu let her do it in the end. Kazu was taken aback by how Ari attacked the orcs with such clean moves. Compared to how she reacted in their first fight, Ari is much calmer this time around. Even if the fight got intense, Ari kept her cool and tackled each orc with precision. Because of that, the two of them leveled up again. As they get transported back to the White Room, Kazu plans on upgrading this summon magic to rank 2. With this, they'll be able to make a proper strategy and head to the Institute in no time. Moments later, the two finally made it to the Training Institute. Kazu's crow went on to check the area first, and based on its surveillance, there were around 2 orcs at the front entrance. Kazu formulated a plan where if there are fewer than 3 orcs, they'll defeat them by attacking head-on. However, if the orcs are more than 4, but less than 6, Kazu plans on using his familiar as a decoy and taking them down one by one. But in the worst case scenario, if there are more than 7 orcs present, they'll have no choice but to turn back. Since the two have already agreed upon this plan, Kazu went on to summon a puppet golem to help them in fighting. They quietly sneak into the building. However, the next scene they'll witness almost caused Ari to faint. There, a number of girls, students of the academy, ended up lying fully naked on the ground, while the others are literally still getting harassed by these nasty orcs. Ari, on the side, started tearing up. She starts to grind her teeth so hard because of rage, and without hesitation, she charges in to attack the orcs. Since she went on to do a sneaky attack, Ari managed to take down the orcs in one go. However, she couldn't stop herself from crying because of how pathetic she felt for being glad that Tamaki was not here. She feels bad for feeling a moment of relief even after seeing the victims. Kazu was about to comfort Ari when he realized that he was no different from her. He finds himself being the true coward for only intending to use Ari as his shield for his own survival. So even if he tries to, Kazu knows that there is no way his words would reach her heart. So instead of comforting her, he just encourages Ari to stand back up, as the fight is not yet over. Just as they thought, more orcs showed up. As the monsters start charging and carrying their swords, Kazu and Ari split up to fight the orcs separately. Kazu also went on to summon one more puppet golem to support Ari. Surprisingly, Ari ended up taking care of all the orcs on her own. Seeing her go amazes Kazu. Every move Ari makes is clean, making Kazu wonder if she perhaps has a really strong battle sense. Before they even knew it, they were then transported to the White Room once again. There, Kazu once again reminded Ari that even if there are surviving students, they have to annihilate the orcs first, no matter what. So, in case the situation becomes really tough, Kazu wants them to run away immediately. If they die, no one will save the survivors anymore. Although this is tough for Ari, she still agreed to stick with the plan. After upgrading, the two went back to the real world and started sneaking deep into the building. Slowly but surely, they walked as silently as possible, keeping the orcs from realizing they were around. However, to their surprise, one orc managed to sneak an attack on Kazu. Fortunately, Ari managed to protect Kazu while getting herself injured in the process. But despite that, she still managed to defeat the orc and level up as well. Thankfully, because of her healing magic, her wounds immediately healed up on their own. Seeing how innocent and genuine Ari is towards him, Kazu couldn't help but feel a little bit guilty about what happened. Realizing that Ari is not a coward like him, who moves according to his actions, Kazu decided to let Ari increase her spear arts and go back. As they finally made it back, Kazu went on to check each room while Ari waited at the entrance. As he got inside, he was stunned by the scene he witnessed. The bodies of the girls were scattered around, naked. Among the girls was Shiki Shikariko. Shiki was the vice president of Kazu's class. Since Shiki is technically bare right now, Ari asks Kazu to step out for the moment while she treats her. Before leaving, Shiki informs him that the other girls are hiding behind a steel fire door beside the staircase. Immediately, Kazu went there to check. On his way there, Kazu couldn't help but remember some bad memories he had in class because of his bullies. Although Kazu knew that Shiki couldn't do anything about it, he still felt betrayed and hurt that she was just there, watching him get bullied. So even though he knows it's not her fault, he can't seem to pretend that it didn't happen. As Kazu finally makes it there, to ensure the girls hiding inside don't get frightened, he informs them that all the enemies have been taken care of and it is now safe for them to come out. At first, the girls were hesitant to do so, but when Kazu informed them that he had come here with Ari, Tamaki suddenly came out of the room, crying happily after finding out her friend was safe. Seeing Tamaki alive made Kazu happy. With this mission now finally accomplished, Kazu wonders if this is the time he'll say goodbye to Ari. But before he starts overthinking about it, Tamaki lets him into the room, excited to introduce him to the other survivors. Then, as they were about to enter the room, a roar shook everyone. Kazu immediately tells Tamaki to enter the room once again and shut it close until things calm down. As he went on to take a look at the monster, his eyes widened and his body froze still. With one look at the orc's fat yet shredded body, Kazu immediately knew their luck had finally run out. Aside from the Hulk-looking orc, the orcs are in greater numbers now than before. But since they are blocking the entrance, even running away is now out of Kazu's option. As the monsters start rushing in on both sides, Kazu tells Shiki to hide while he and Ari fight off the monsters. Using her spear weapon, Ari managed to take down as many orcs as she possibly could. However, when the Hulk orc went on to hit her, she immediately went flying away. To make it worse, the orc didn't even stop with just one hit. He went on to attack Ari again and again until she ended up semi-unconscious. Meanwhile, Kazu is starting to get worried as this guy is definitely out of their league. Although he is terrified himself, he has no choice but to try escaping now that Ari is close to the exit already. Without hesitation, Kazu immediately formulated a plan. He tells Ari to escape by the door while he keeps the orc distracted with his puppet golem. While she's at it, Kazu plans on jumping out of the window on the second floor. To assure Ari that they would not let her friend die, Kazu tells her that they would still come back to save the girls, but for now, escaping and saving themselves is their main priority. However, as Kazu jumped out of the window and immediately ran into the forest, to his surprise, he and Ari leveled up. This is something that shouldn't be possible since they didn't manage to defeat as many orcs as needed. And at that moment, Kazu finally realized that Ari actually didn't make it out and kept fighting. As they finally made it to the White Room, Ari burst into tears, apologizing to Kazu for not making it out on time. Hearing this made Kazu shiver in anger and fear. Although Ari is still not technically dead yet, for sure, when they head back to the real world, Ari will get violated by those nasty orcs until she dies. Although she is currently on the verge of literally dying, Ari still manages to smile despite the circumstances. Accepting the fact that this might already be the end for her, Ari tells Kazu not to forget saving her friend and the other girls still trapped inside. But instead of listening, Kazu just went on to hug her tightly, not wanting to let go of her anymore. Kazu then started blaming himself for putting Ari in danger. Kazu's comforting warmth even made Ari burst into tears. At this point, she finally expresses that she doesn't want to die, and then kisses Kazu. Quite taken aback by her sudden kiss, Kazu was speechless for a while. But eventually, the two went ahead and hugged each other once again. Kazu then assures her that he will not let her die no matter what. On top of that, Kazu also didn't waste a second and immediately expressed how he truly feels about Ari, causing her to blush. Due to the mixed emotions he is feeling right now, Kazu ended up saying things like he wouldn't allow the orcs to violate her since he would be the one to do it, causing Ari to feel flustered like crazy. Despite Kazu not being good at words when under pressure, Ari still appreciated his assurance on saving her, no matter what. Since the orcs are no ordinary ones, Kazu went on to confirm their current situation before going out again. As of now, his level is 5 with both of his skill points at rank 2. Kazu then started contemplating whether he should upgrade an existing skill or acquire a new skill and take it to rank 2 at once. With an enemy like the elite orc, a monster whose strength is on another level, Kazu decided not to take half-baked skills for now. But anyhow, Kaya just wanted to choose something that would give them the chance to win. After searching for a bit, Kaya found something that he thinks would give them a small chance of victory. So, immediately, he went on to tell Ari the plan. Although the plan, Kaya could still get them murmured, Kaya went on to assure Ari that it's all about timing. As they both agreed to push through with the plan, Kaya and Ari eventually went back to the real world. Immediately, Kaya went on to rush to where Ari was. Despite spraining himself on the way out, Kaya still ran as fast as he could. As he got there, Kaya was somewhat relieved after seeing that Ari was still alive. But his relief changed into worry as the orc aimed to hit Ari once again. But thankfully, Ari didn't receive that many injuries. Kaya grabbed this chance to buy them some time. Kazu went on to summon his golems and let his crow help in distracting the orc while he went to strengthen Ari's body. Using his skill, he cast a spell called Haste, which is different from Physical Up, since this strengthens and speeds up the whole body. After casting this on Ari, Ari even started off fighting the monster once again. With a strict plan in mind, Kaya reminded Ari to wait for his signal. Fortunately, even though the orc's attacks are quite sneaky, Ari is keeping up well. However, Kaya starts to worry since the real problem starts now. Haste increases the speed but doesn't increase the power. So even if she gives it her all, it would be difficult for her to give a fatal injury with her attacks. On top of that, the fact that she is injured and has consumed a lot of her stamina, at this rate, she'll be the one to get exhausted first. So Kaya and Ari made a plan to aim for the head, as that is the weakest point in the orc's body. Ari is trying her best to attack other body parts for now, to not let the orc notice their plan. Patiently waiting for the perfect timing, Kaya and Ari kept their calm. And eventually, when Ari found an opening, she immediately attacked the orc, stabbing it right in the neck. When the surroundings turned silent, Ari finally breathed in relief, now that they had actually managed to defeat it. Now that they have finally leveled up, Kaya and Ari go back to the White Room. Ari immediately went to hug Kaya tightly and kissed him with much passion. The two couldn't help but feel happy for keeping their promise to stay alive. Although they had already expressed their feelings a while ago, Ari went on to say it one more time, causing Kaya to blush. Since they are literally in their worst states right now, Ari went on to heal herself and treat Kaya's leg injury as well. Moments later, Kaya couldn't take it anymore as he finally offered Ari to fix her uniform for her since he was getting distracted by her rather massive melons. However, Ari took the wrong idea, thinking that Kaya might not actually like her body. Stuttering, Kaya explains to her that if she doesn't cover them up, he might end up assaulting her. Without hesitation, Ari lies herself on the ground, giving Kaya permission to explore her. As Kaya's body started to get hot, with Ari's consent, Kaya went on to slowly massage her with his hands. Amazed by how soft Ari is, Kaya tried not to go all in, but because of the tension, they ended up pleasing each other for hours in the end. After enjoying themselves for a while, Kaya and Ari went to have a deep, serious talk with one another. This time around, Ari finally asked Kaya about his story. Kaya was hesitant to tell everything at first, but in the end, he ended up revealing his most hurtful secret. With such a low voice, he revealed that he was severely bullied by his classmate, Sasu Shiba. Shiba was the son of the director, who is well known to everyone. In this town, one's fate depends on whether they are liked or not liked by the Sasu family, so even Kazu's parents ended up telling him to just obey Shiba no matter what, instead of defending him. To make it worse, one day, the classmate who was being bullied along with him tried to harm himself. Fortunately, he survived and left the school, so Kazu ended up being the only one who was the target of bullying by everyone in school. Because of his deep-rooted anger for Shiba, Kazu made that pitfall, hoping to finally end Shiba once and for all. After saying all of this, Kazu is worried that Ari might start despising him. But Ari immediately assured him that she wouldn't do such a thing. Like the rest of the students, Ari also pretended not to see when others were getting bullied, which is why she knows she is not in the position to judge Kazu's decisions. Now that they have known each other a lot deeper than before, it's now time for them to go back to the real world. But before leaving, Kazu informs Ari of his plans on recruiting more allies, to which Ari immediately agrees. As they made it back, Tamaki and the other girls came out of their hideout as well. Seeing Tamaki alive caused Ari to feel overwhelmingly happy. While the two are celebrating, Kazu asks Tamaki how many survivors there are. According to her, there are around 7 hiding with her. With Shiki adding up, this makes the total survivor count 8. With this many survivors, Kazu decided to stay inside the building while they thought of a plan first. Since he and Ari are pretty exhausted from all the fighting, the girls tell them to rest first for now. Meanwhile, at Kitayama Academy Junior High School girls' dormitory, more girls are becoming victims of the orcs' dirty crimes. After resting for a while, Kazu went on to work immediately. This time around, Kazu managed to acquire a new rank 2 support magic ability called the Alert Territory. This thing can be installed in a specific location and will sound an alarm that only Kazu can hear. He covered the areas around the institute in case an enemy suddenly attacks again. After installing this magic around the area, Kazu finally makes his way back to the building. On his way inside, the sky slowly turns white, marking that it's already dawn. 2 moons are also seen, making it clear to Kazu that this world is not their real world, indeed. As he makes his way inside the building, Shiki greets him with a pleasant morning and asks him about his injuries. With how dreadful the fight was yesterday, Shiki already expected that Kazu and Ari might have some muscle soreness of some sort. Speaking of Ari, she, together with the other girls, went on to prepare some breakfast for everyone. According to Shiki, there were some supplies hidden in the basements in case of a disaster like this. Although there were cans of water and a generator that works on kerosene, the girls decided not to use it as it makes a lot of noise, alerting the monsters nearby. Seeing how Kazu has changed drastically, Shiki mentions to him that he can finally do everything he wanted to do now with his power. Although Kazu didn't want others to know about it, Shiki managed to hear Ari and Kazu talking about it yesterday. Shiki didn't want to believe, but after Ari healed her wounds with her magic, Shiki couldn't deny it anymore. Since there are still a lot of things to do now, Kazu decided to have a meeting with the girls regarding their current situation. Based on his theory, the whole hill, including their school, has come to this world, and then the orcs invaded this hill. Since the orcs came from the top of the hill, Kazu thinks that there must be some sort of ward gate located there. With the orcs' purpose still unknown, Kazu wants everyone to see them as an enemy. Based on their number, Kazu believes that they have probably taken over almost all the buildings on the hill. Since they know nothing about their enemies, Kazu made it clear that rescuing others is out of the picture for now. To ensure that everyone is capable of at least supporting themselves, Kazu decided to help everyone in this room reach at least level 1. But he did make it clear to everyone that he won't force them, nor will he tell them to fight. But right now, there's a difference in safety between level 0 and level 1. To lessen the fear of the girls, Kazu assures them that he and Ari will be by their side at all times, ready to help. The dining table kept silent for a couple of seconds until Tamaki finally spoke up, saying that she didn't want to keep running anymore. Also, she feels like it is now her time to also protect Ari. On top of that, Tamaki also volunteered to enter Kazu's party. Although he didn't really want to include her yet, but knowing Ari might feel safer with Tamaki by her side, Kazu had no choice but to accept her. But what's more shocking is the fact that even Shiki is willing to level up as well. Although she doesn't intend to enter Kazu's party, considering the trauma she acquired from the hands of an orc, she still politely asks Kazu to prepare only one orc so that she can somehow level up a little. Another character is then introduced. Since this is the first time they all pretty much have a real conversation like this, the girl introduced herself as Tagamiya Miya, a first-year junior high school student. Considering she is still relatively young, Kazu tried to explain to her how dangerously deadly joining a party is, especially as they will be fighting on the front lines. Despite hearing Kazu's warning, Miya still insisted on joining, quite eager to risk everything as long as she could fight with magic. Kazu didn't quite get her at first, but since she is so determined to be part of the party, Kazu accepted her in the end. Miya then reveals that she wanted to get her brother, who is in high school right now. Although Kazu would love to help, but considering their situation right now, Kazu assures her that as soon as the situation calms down, they will check on the school and find Miya's brother. Fortunately, Miya immediately understood Kazu and went with his plan. With Miya, a first-year student entering Kazu's party, the other girls ended up joining in as well. Moments later, the girls, together with Kazu, didn't even waste a second and immediately went ahead to dig some pitfalls for their trap. While the girls are busy digging traps, Kazu is there digging graves for the girls who lost their lives inside the building. Seeing this, Tamaki couldn't help but appreciate Kazu's efforts for the ones who died. Then suddenly, Ari came into the scene, wearing tight gym clothes from the basement. Seeing her snatched body peeping through that cloth made Kazu blush. But before he gets distracted by her, he immediately summons his raven to serve as Ari's carrier pigeon. Since Kazu's level has finally increased, the raven has also grown in size. Before Ari goes out to hunt, Kazu reminds her not to save anyone and just run away, since if she dies, Kazu feels like it would be the end of the world for him as well. After having a little discussion, Ari eventually went ahead and started her work. Meanwhile, Kazu plans on becoming a scout and a decoy at the same time. While Ari brings the orcs, the girls stay in place and just wait for Kazu's signal for them to neutralize it. Kazu started off with Tamaki, who now earned a sword art rank and muscle rank skill. Then next is Shiki, who has acquired a scouting rank and throwing rank skills. Meanwhile, Miya managed to acquire earth and wind magic ranks. The other girls then followed after. Now that the girls have managed to acquire a skill of their own, Kazu finally decided to split with the others for now as he and Tamaki go to the girls' dormitory to find more survivors. On their way to the dorms, Tamaki and Kazu went on to have a little chat. During that time, Kazu found out that Tamaki is actually adopted by a Japanese couple, hence why her hair is blonde and her eyes are colored blue. Moments later, they finally made it to the girls' dormitory. Kazu went on to task his raven to check the area using his remote viewing, which is something he got after increasing the rank of summon magic to 3. Because of this, Kazu is able to have a bird-eye view of the whole place. While he's checking the area, he asks Tamaki to keep watch of their surroundings in case someone attacks. Kazu chose Tamaki to guide him because she is the best friend of Ari. Even though Kazu still doesn't understand her personality, he still hopes she doesn't do anything to harm him. As Kazu's raven flies over the building, Kazu is stunned to witness such a brutal scene. However, when the raven entered the dorms, Kazu couldn't help but shiver in fear and pain for the girls who were now being used as toys by the orcs. After seeing that there is an elite orc present, on top of the great number of minion orcs present, Kazu decided to head back to the institute for now. as they got back with the girls and informed them of what they saw. Shiki immediately disapproved of them going back and helping the others. Despite sounding cold-hearted, she knows that there is a big chance that they will all get wiped out while trying to save a person. Kazu couldn't really blame Shiki for feeling this way, since even he finds her judgment quite accurate, so he tries to calm everyone down. But in contrast with Shiki's suggestion, Kazu tells everyone that it is too early to jump to conclusions for now. But he still wants to look for a way to save them somehow. Because of this, Shiki didn't have a choice but to agree with the majority's decision. But deep inside, Kazu knows that Shiki just wants to play the role of a bad person. By expressing a ruthless opinion, she is making it easier for Kazu to gain the trust of others. Shiki simply wants Kazu, who has the highest level, to be the emotional support for everyone. Despite Kazu finding it annoying to go along with her plans, but for everyone's survival, he would rather go with it than not. Then suddenly, Mia informs Kazu about a rank 2 earth magic called Heat Metal, a magic that can heat up any metal. Mia then suggested that, using this magic, she could easily heat up the orcs' weapons, leaving them defenseless. So even if it's a strong enemy, they might still have a chance of winning. So immediately, Kazu's next plan is to let Tamaki and Mia level up quickly. While they are busy, Kazu plans on asking the other girls to head back to the facility after becoming level 1, and then digging a trench in front of the building. However, Shiki finds this a bit too flashy, as the enemies might find out they are making the facility their base. But in Kazu's defense, even if they don't do anything, the enemies will still find it out sooner or later. So, while it's early, he wants to strengthen their defenses. Before Kazu, Ari, Tamaki, and Mia leave, Shiki reminds them to come back alive, since if they don't, everyone in the facility is as good as dead. Although Kazu's dark humor is so terrifying, like it could summon a demon, Kazu still finds it encouraging to hear. Eventually, he, along with the 3 girls, finally makes their way to the forest once again. Meanwhile, the girls left behind also started their tasks. Going back to Kazu's group, Tamaki shows off her weapon, the same weapon that the elite orc has. It turns out that she actually has the physical skills for it. As usual, Tamaki kept the group alive with her corny personality, and before they even knew it, they finally made it to the tennis court area. Kazu then tells the girls to level up quickly using power leveling, a gaming term where the strong people take the weak people around and make them level up. Since Ari has more experience than the 2 other girls, Kazu decided to let her take the lead and engage with the targets first. There are around 2 orcs guarding the place. With such a clean strike, Ari managed to take one of them down instantly. She then went on to have a close combat with the second one, whom she also defeated in no time. Even the orcs that were hiding inside the shed had no chance of winning against Ari. Witnessing her go somehow made Tamaki nervous, as he never really knew her best friend was such a killing machine. Ari didn't stop just yet. She even fearlessly enters the locker rooms and is defeated by as many orcs as she can. During this time, Mia also started to help restrain orcs using her earth magic spells. Because of their amazing teamwork, Tamaki and Mia are now finally level 2. However, since they are now a 4-person party, they are required to defeat more orcs to level up, which is why Ari ended up fighting more orcs than usual. Although this may sound a bit tiring, Kazu firmly believes that it should be beneficial in the future. While the 2 of them are in serious mode, Tamaki kept teasing Ari around regarding what happened to her and Kazu the other day. It turns out, Ari actually told her about it, putting Kazu and Ari in such an awkward position. And to make it worse, Mia started provoking Kazu as well, causing Ari to feel a little bit jealous. Since the situation is starting to get out of control, Kazu tells everyone to stop and sit down, so that they can start the strategy meeting for recapturing the girls' dorm. First and foremost, Tamaki and Mia will increase their sword arts and earth magic to rank 2. When that's done, they'll head to the dorms, and Ari, together with Kazu, will use themselves as bait to cause some disturbance at the front door. Meanwhile, Tamaki and Mia will take care of the orcs from the back door. However, in case the elite orc comes out, if it came from the front, Ari and Kazu would fight it head-on. However, if it came from the back, Kazu wants the 2 to run away immediately. Mia then suggested that there might be a chance she could use her Earth Bind to stop him. But Kazu deeply disapproves of this. If they think about it as a game, there is a chance the elite orc might resist her magic. But since Mia is a pro gamer, just to be sure, she went on to check on the data first. And just as she expected, there are multiple patterns where the magic won't work. First, the magic that is cast on an individual enemy, the caster must be able to see the opponent. Meanwhile, in case of a missile-type magic, the magic attack will go straight towards the enemy. But there is a chance that it might hit obstacles as it won't track the enemy at all. On the other hand, direct magic works regardless of distance, so it is impossible to avoid it. And each time the magic hits, its resistance keeps on increasing as well. But even if the magic works, there's a chance that they can forcefully break it. So, in cases of an elite orc, breaking out of the Earthbind would be an easy task. Now that they have already mentioned it, Tamaki wonders if there is a chance that these orcs are using resist magic. Thinking about it, Kazu thinks that there might be a high chance that it's actually the case. After all, when Kazu first knew about the levels, he saw a magic called Clear Mind when his support magic was just rank 1. It works in increasing resistance against mental attacks. Remembering this now, Kazu reminds everyone to be careful about the enemy's magic, no matter what. While Kazu and Mia are talking, Tamaki asks Ari if they can talk privately. This intrigued Kazu, making him wonder what the girls might be talking about. Mia then tells him that girls have their own secrets and even start revealing the places in Ari's body that are sensitive. Hearing Mia openly share intimate information about her, Ari couldn't help but feel embarrassed about it. Moments later, after their rather long meeting and chit-chat, the group finally makes its way to the dorms. Since there are more orcs guarding the front now, Kazu decided to change up their plans a little and defeat 4 orcs first. Before going in, Kazu noticed that Tamaki was shaking so hard. Worried, he asked her if she was alright. Tamaki immediately assured him that this was just due to excitement, but Kazu still reminded her not to be reckless. As Ari and Tamaki went on to engage together with 2 golems, the orcs finally took notice of them. While Ari is seamlessly cutting through one orc after the other, Tamaki's shaking legs cause her to stumble. As the orc gets closer to her, fearing that this might be the end of her, Tamaki ends up pissing herself. Kazu immediately asks Mia to cast a long-range attack. With Mia's stone blade technique, the orc got knocked down immediately. Knowing how special Tamaki is to Ari, Kazu immediately assures her that he'll save her friend himself. Kazu even started blaming himself for being careless, letting Tamaki go on her own without support, despite knowing it's her first battle. But thankfully, Kazu got there on time and sliced up the orc on his own. Then suddenly, Tamaki started screaming, apologizing to Kazu again and again while begging him not to leave her. Because of her loud cries, the orcs inside the building get alerted by their presence. Because of this, Kazu didn't follow the plan of letting Tamaki and Mia go to the back door. Instead, he decided that the group should just stick together. Not knowing what to do next, the group suddenly got teleported back to the White Room as they leveled up once again. The group somehow felt a sense of relief since they'll be able to think of a plan while they are here. Meanwhile, Tamaki went unconscious because of what happened. At that moment, Kazu finally realized why she was in such high spirits since morning. Tamaki was doing that to not let her anxiety take over her. However, Kazu finds it strange that Tamaki kept asking him for his forgiveness. Certain that Ari knows the reason why, Kazu asks her about it, worrying that Tamaki's reason might have affected the lives of all the party members in the future. Stuttering, Ari asks Kazu if she could ask him a favor. Kazu didn't even hesitate and told her that if it's something he can do, then he'll do anything for the party. Overwhelmed and flustered, Ari shyly turned to Kazu, with her voice trembling as she asked if it was okay with him to make love with Tamaki. After hearing that question, Kazu froze in place, quite confused after hearing such an odd request. As this is hard for Ari to say, Kazu really doesn't understand why Tamaki would ask for such a request. So to better understand her side, Kazu wants Ari to explain everything. So Ari went on to have a little storytelling session. According to her, Tamaki was an orphan, and her foster parents, the Ryuki family, were usually gentle. But if there was anything they didn't like, no matter how small, they would get extremely angry and cause a ruckus. So in times that Tamaki didn't meet their expectations, they would tell her that they had made a mistake adopting her. Although the screening process to become foster parents was tough, because the Ryuki family was respectable figures, they ended up passing the screening effortlessly. Because of that, Tamaki ended up living a life of daily pressure and anxiety. With nowhere to run to and return to, she tried desperately to live up to her parents' expectations. Although she tried and tried, she ended up pushing her limits. As Tamaki's best friend, Ari has witnessed how Tamaki stayed obedient and sincere just to please her family. She even went past her limit and tried her best, to the point that even her heart broke apart. She even had temporary memory loss. although it may not be obvious, considering Tamaki studying in one of the most prestigious schools full of wealthy students. But Ari is certain that people don't know that this school is filled with problematic students. Ari then revealed that she herself is an orphan. Although her experience was not as bad as Tamaki's, but she also came to this school because she didn't get along with her foster parents. After hearing all of these revelations, just to be sure, Kazu also asked Mia if she is an orphan too. Mia immediately states that she grew up in a relatively normal family. Her parents just sent her to boarding school because of her addiction to anime and manga. Since everyone has already shared their story on how they ended up in this academy, Mia also asks Kazu of his story. As it turned out, he just took the entrance exam here since the acceptance rate was higher. On top of that, his parents also pushed him to enter the academy in hopes that their son could make friends with the upper-class families like the Sasu family. Due to that, Kazu came to experience the injustice of the upper class to the point of hating it. But going back to Tamaki's story, Ari just happened to hear Tamaki and her teacher's conversation one day. During that time, they were already friends, and Tamaki's grades were dropping drastically. Knowing her tiger parents, Ari started becoming distant from Tamaki, as she thinks it was her fault that her best friend ended up failing. But Tamaka thought that it was her fault that Ari became distant from her. And as her coping mechanism, when she thinks that she has betrayed the expectations of someone she trusted, she can't handle it at all. So, in other words, based on how she acted a while ago, it must have been because she thought she had betrayed Kazu's expectations of her. Although Kazu does understand that part of the story. But the only thing he is confused about is why Tamaki favors him despite knowing he is Ari's boyfriend. Well, as it turned out, yesterday, before they went to bed, Ari, Mia, and Shiki explained to everyone why Kazu is important for their survival. That's why when Tamaki felt like he was holding him back because of her anxiety a while ago, she was scared that she'd end up getting abandoned. Since Tamaki is still under a panic attack, Kazu asks Ari what she should do to calm her down. Kazu was stunned when Ari casually mentioned that they would normally hurt each other with a knife like some deranged sociopath. So Kazu thought that he could just inflict a small injury on her instead of doing something unnecessary. However, Ari thinks that would not work since Kazu just recently met her, which is why he needs to make a stronger bond. So even if it's hard for her, Ari thinks that if Kazu and Tamaki put their bodies together, he can make a big leap in their relationship. Although Kazu has no bad intent in doing this, he can still feel a strange sensation, maybe because of how strange Ari is acting. Meanwhile, Mia had the nerve to crack a joke, saying, "Building a harem is every guy's ultimate dream." But as a good boyfriend, Kazu asks Ari's permission once again. When Ari gave him the go signal, Kazu just did what he needed to calm Tamaki down. And just as Ari expected, Tamaki did wake up. When she realized the fact that she was too close to Kazu, she immediately started blushing. Aside from that, Tamaki also started feeling bad again as she remembered how embarrassing she looked a while ago, peeing her own pants because she was too scared. Quite good with his words, Kazu managed to calm Tamaki down again. He even assured her that the way she reacted a while ago was completely normal. With a serious look on his face, Kazu then lends his hand to Tamaki, asking her to trust him this time, just like Ari did before. He also tells her not to ever think about getting abandoned anymore, since he depends on her strength as well. Because of these kind words, Tamaki couldn't help but kiss Kazu on the cheeks as a sign of appreciation. Kazu was left shocked, while Ari at the back looked a bit jealous. Moments later, the group eventually made it back to the outside world. Kazu and Ari try their best to execute a clean plan, and as the elite orc enters the scene, Kazu summons a new type of creature called the Grey Wolves. As Kazu faces off against a formidable foe once again, Ari also gives her all as the vanguard of the party. Kazu is quite impressed by how much Ari has improved. She is now fighting it by creating distance with her opponent, which is far better than how she handled it the other day. As the other orcs also started popping out, Kazu went on to send his golems to help Mia, who is now frozen with fear. Kazu then went ahead and checked on Tamaki. Fortunately, Tamaki is a lot calmer now than before, although she still keeps pissing herself because of her. With Kazu calling it an unlimited leakage feature, Tamaki is now far more ready to take down orcs than she was before. With Kazu's guidance and encouragement, Tamaki finally took down her first orc on her own. As the fight started to intensify even more, Tamaki doesn't even hesitate to fight as many orcs as she can. With this, all the small fry orcs will be defeated in no time. Now that Tamaki is all good, Kazu went on to check on Ari. Based on how it looks, Kazu is having a hard time finding an opening to use his reflection magic. So Kazu rushed to Mia, asking her if she could use magic right now. To his surprise, Mia also wet herself, making him wonder if the roar of an elite orc put the fear effect on low-level opponents. Nonetheless, Kazu first focused on their real problem and asked Mia to use her heat metal skill to neutralize the orc's weapons. Instantly, as soon as Mia cast her magic, the orc suddenly became defenseless, giving Ari the opening to strike back. The elite orc tried to fight back, but because Ari had an edge with her weapon, the monster ended up getting defeated in the end. Moments later, the party finds themselves inside the White Room once again. All the girls have leveled up except Kazu. But before upgrading anything, Ari asks for Kazu's opinion. After going through her panel, a magic called Cure Mind caught Ari's attention. Using this magic, she can easily get out of the fear effect of the elite orc's roar, which is useful during battles. As Ari is about to say her next reason, Kazu already knows that Ari wants to heal the emotional wounds of the survivors in the dormitory, in case there are any. Since Ari finds it necessary, Kazu agrees to let her upgrade her healing magic. After all, Kazu knows to himself that a man like him couldn't possibly understand a woman's emotions. Now that Ari has already decided which skills she would upgrade, Kazu went on to ask Mia and Tamaki about their plans. Surprisingly, both of them decided to save it up for now since they wanted to upgrade to rank 3 immediately. Mia further explains that when she reaches rank 3, she will be able to acquire a magic called Earth Pit, which is a magic that digs up holes. Being the supportive leader that he is, Kazu let them do what they want with their skill points. After all, they are still low level right now, so he also finds it better if they focus on those things they just said for now. Now that the group has already decided on their upgrades, the party went back to look for any survivors. As they got to the dining hall, the group was stunned to see such a gruesome scene. Everyone started feeling downhearted when none of the girls looked alive, until Ari found a girl barely breathing at the side of the column. The whole group then immediately ran towards her to see if they could still manage to help her. While the dormitory has now been recaptured by Kazu's team, meanwhile, at the training facility, the girls are doing well with their tasks. While everyone is busy digging the trench, Tamaki and one of Kazu's wolves show up. The girls immediately ask Tamaki where the others are. Tamaki then explained to everyone that the girls' dormitory has been recaptured and there are some survivors there too. Since there are quite a few, Kazu asks Tamaki to get some people from the facility to help escort the survivors. Meanwhile, back at the dormitory, Ari is busy healing all of the survivors' mental wounds. She also tried to comfort them, while Mia went on to look for some clothes that the girls could use. After doing so, Mia went on to help Kazu look for materials they could use. While they roam around the dorm, Mia came across her roommate, cold and dead, lying on the side of the hallway. But instead of dwelling much on it, Mia chose to continue with their search for now. Kazu suggested that they should head to Mia's room for now, so that she can get some change of clothes. After climbing up to the 3rd floor, the two finally made it to Mia's room. As Mia is about to change, the young girl tries to tease Kazu, asking him if he wants to see her change. Kazu immediately said no, but Mia followed up the question by asking him if he needed her stained panties. Feeling quite awkward, Kazu just went on to tell her that it wouldn't be that necessary and that she could just throw it away since no one was here anymore. Hearing that made Mia realize that they are indeed alone now, saddened by the thought that her friends and senpais are probably dead by now. Seeing the drastic changes in Mia's expression made Kazu feel a bit guilty. As he tried to explain what he meant, Mia told him that she was already prepared for it. As she still vividly remembers, everyone in the girls' room cried yesterday. Shiki told them that if they want to cry, they should cry already. That is why Mia also encourages Kazu to cry, so that he can prepare himself for the worst as well. Mia tried to offer her chest for Kazu to lean on, but Kazu immediately turned it down. Mia then concluded that Kazu might really like big melons after all. As she went inside her room to change, Kazu told her to go back to Ari once she was done, since he would continue to search on his own. As the silence lingered inside the room, after seeing a picture with her friends, Mia couldn't help but burst into tears. Meanwhile, Kazu went on to check every room until he reached the rooftop. However, he finds it strange that, considering the size of the dorm, there are too few corpses. While he is in deep wonder, Kazu's raven then informs him that Shiki and the others are now nearby. As the girls finally made it to the dorms, they were horrified by what they witnessed. Kazu then informs them that there are only 10 survivors in this building. But instead of giving up, The girls are still hopeful that there are probably other survivors in other buildings too. After talking with the girls, Kazu went to check on Ari when Mia entered the scene once again, teasing Kazu as usual. Since the girls have now helped the survivors dress and are ready to move, the group immediately makes their way back to the training facility. While the girls are escorting the survivors, Shiki tells Kazu to stay at the back. So, in case orcs start attacking them again, he'll be there to protect everyone. Everything was going well until they were already closer to the facility when Kazu's invincible alarm suddenly rang inside his head. And at that moment, he knew they were definitely in grave danger. So before they can even get closer, Kazu went on to warn everyone and ask Shiki to stay put and take care of everyone while he checks on the situation first. He then calls for his party to investigate. As they finally made it to the facility, Kazu's alarm was actually right. Orcs are now everywhere. Some of the remaining girls who were left in the facility tried to defend their base as much as possible. However, one of the girls ended up getting caught by the orcs. As the monsters started to harass her, Kazu's wolves finally came to save her. A few moments later, Kazu, together with the girls, finally made it. Kazu immediately tasked Ari to take care of the orcs on the left. With Kazu's haste spell, Ari managed to move as swiftly as possible. Because the group did a surprise attack, the orcs are now confused. While Ari is holding the left side, Kazu plans on handling the right side together with the two. However, as Tamaki was getting ready to fight, Kazu changed his mind and let her stay on the side for now. Kazu then tells Mia to use some of her wind magic to put the enemies to sleep. Surprisingly, as soon as Mia cast the spell, the orcs were knocked down immediately. Now that these monsters are pretty defenseless, Ari and the others used this opportunity to defeat them all at once. They were so overpowering that even some of the other orcs started running away. Kazu immediately orders the girls to chase them since it'll be really bad if the information about this place gets leaked. But before Ari can go all in again, Kazu reminds her not to chase them too deep. Meanwhile, one of the remaining orcs tried to hit Kazu with its stone bullet. But thankfully, Mia managed to block it, keeping Kazu safe. Then, all of a sudden, the group got teleported back to the White Room because Tamaki and Mia leveled up just now. While they are here, Kazu reminded Ari and Tamaki not to chase the orcs deep into the forest, even if it may put the facility in danger. He then put his palms on their heads, telling them that their safety is more important than anything else. Hearing Kazu say this made the two blush. That is why, as soon as they made it back to the outside world, they did their best while keeping in mind what Kazu said to them, so even if they had a clear vision of where the orcs are going. But since they are a bit too far from the facility already, the two decided to just head back for now. Fortunately, because of Kazu's alarm, all of the girls, both the old and the newly saved ones, are still alive. Ari and Tamaki then head over to Kazu, disappointedly telling him that they weren't able to take care of the 4 orcs out of the 5 they were chasing. But instead of getting angry, Kazu smiled at them and thanked them for their hard work. After all, Kazu was already expecting that this place would be revealed sooner or later. That is why he wanted to strengthen their defenses from now on. Now that the orcs already knew about this place, Kazu was expecting that everyone would start feeling anxious from now on. On top of that, Kazu also believes that the orcs will probably attack with a force much stronger than until now. Because of this, even Kazu is starting to get worried and a little bit stressed out, as he himself doesn't know what to do. He is starting to get anxious about the thought of dying, and running away and just carrying his party while leaving these other girls behind did cross his mind. But before he starts losing his mind, Shiki steps in to lead for now. Seeing her go never fails to amaze Kazu. He knows well that she is anxious herself, but as much as possible, she tries not to show it on her face. At this point, Kazu starts feeling disgusted by himself for almost giving up on everyone that easily. Quite angry at himself, Kazu knows that sooner or later, everyone will surely figure out that he is just a timid and narrow-minded boy who acts all tough, while the real brilliant one is Shiki, and the fact that there is some animosity. Kazu knows that between him, who has control over the strongest party, and Shiki, who is a leader, there is something of concern here. Kazu knows that if they don't handle this well, it might lead to the division of the whole group. That is why Kazu decided to disband their party temporarily. Ari and Tamaki were so shocked to hear this, so they asked Kazu for the reason behind it. Kazu then explains that he'll just check on something, and while he is away, he wants the two, together with Mia, to look out for the enemy's attack. The girls didn't even hesitate to follow Kazu's orders and even promised him that they would do exactly that. But then suddenly, as Kazu was on his way out, he went to Shika and asked her something. Surprisingly, he wanted to form a party with her so that they could talk in the White Room, just the two of them. After taking down some orcs out in the forest, Kazu and Shiki ended up getting teleported to the White Room. As soon as they got inside, Kazu expressed that he never thought he'd come here with Shiki at all. Since this is quite unusual for them to do, Shiki eventually went on to tease Kazu around, telling him that if he brought her here to touch her, then he could do as he pleased, as she owed him after all. Despite knowing that Shiki is doing this purposely, Kazu couldn't help but blush about it. Kazu kept his seriousness, telling Shiki that he was doing this because he wanted to have a strategy meeting and also talk about their relationship. Finally getting where Kazu is going, Shiki started praising him for his power and how he managed to lead each battle to victory. The two continued with their conversation, and over the course of it, Kazu couldn't help but feel a bit at ease being able to talk to someone from his same class so casually. With this, Kazu ended up supporting Shiki in the end, finally realizing that he was just dancing on her palm all this time. Despite that, Kazu thinks that this might have been the best way since he hadn't completely put his trust in her. Above all, Shiki's determination to survive and make use of Kazu to keep everyone alive is something Kazu finds trustworthy. So in the end, the two ended up working together and went on to start with their strategy meeting. Since Shiki is pretty much looking far ahead of what's to come, Kazu couldn't help but be amazed at her. But aside from the orcs, the two also have a ton of questions in mind, such as, why is there a White Room in the first place, and why did the whole hill come to another world? Slowly realizing that there's still something hidden behind this incident, Kazu knows that if they are swayed by personal feelings, they'll probably not survive. So starting that moment, Kazu reminds himself to be more generous and accepting of others. After all, if he wants to protect everyone, he needs to have a bigger perspective. Eventually, the two manage to finish the plan. Based on how easy it is for Shiki to form such a plan, Kazu realizes that she is actually a gamer. Shiki then revealed that she was pretty addicted to video games before, which is why her parents ended up sending her to boarding school. But before Kazu gets the wrong idea, Shiki goes on to state that she has studied well since then. Despite being a gamer, Shiki still finds it funny that they came to a world that looks like an online game. This somehow made Kazu wonder what was happening in their school. Although Shiki wants to be hopeful, but considering the situation, she believes the survivors in their school are probably below 1% already. The two then talked for a bit, with Shiki complimenting Kazu on being a good leader. They teased each other around until they finally decided to head back now. But before leaving, Shiki tells Kazu that from now on, he is only in charge of his party while she is in charge of everyone. Shiki simply doesn't want Kazu to feel responsible for everyone, and then, when something happens, he'll blame himself for everything. That is why Shiki is willing to let herself fall, rather than letting Kazu carry everyone on his shoulders. Moments later, the two made it back to the outside world. Kazu's party then happily welcomed him. Since the party didn't know Shiki and Kazu had a meeting, they were shocked when Shiki asked everyone to gather up for some announcements. But among the girls, Ari started looking at Kazu with those suspicious eyes. Knowing that Ari might get the wrong idea, Shiki immediately assures her that they just resolve their issues as leaders and nothing more. Fast forward, after their meeting, Kazu started digging up pits for their traps. During their private meeting, Shiki informs Kazu of everything she managed to notice about the orcs, starting off with how it is only the elite or that has the abilities to destroy buildings. That is why Shiki wants them to set up a defense line in front of the facility. For her, digging up pits on the path throughout the forest and the spear squad attack, the orcs will end up scattering on the left and right of the forest where they can be defeated by guerrilla warfare. But in case the orcs don't come from the path, Shiki wants to avoid a group battle. That is why Kazu is now digging the pits just like planned. While he is at it, the two girls who were fighting off the orcs a while ago came up to him and thanked him for his help. They even promised to protect Kazu next time around and offered an onigiri they made themselves. While they're chit-chatting, Kazu's raven then informs him that the enemies have appeared in the junior high school and will be attacking them soon, too. Just as Kazu expected, a number of orcs actually came rushing in with another elite orc with them. Based on how it looks, Kazu estimated that these monsters are around 100. But instead of feeling nervous or anxious about it, Kazu went on to keep his calm while the others also went to their respective positions. As the leader of the group, Kazu then led his party, telling Mia to start using her earth magic for defense. He plans on slowing down the orcs' movements first with the shallow pits and making them fall at once with the magic to dig pits. With this one move, the party managed to take down as many as they could. Aside from that, the only way for the orcs to get to the facility is from left and right through the forest. And as they just expected, the orcs diverged. So immediately, Kazu tells Mia to use the earth pits in the forest too. Meanwhile, the magic squad will finish them off by using kerosene, while the spear squad is assigned to push them away. As the group seamlessly work together, and the orcs not having ranged weapons, Kazu believes that Ari and Tamaki will be able to defeat the monsters in no time. Kazu and Mia as support now plans on making their way to the forest as well, until Shiki informs them that she saw that there were 3 elite orcs at the enemy's backline. The only explanation Kazu can think of is that maybe those are the commanding squad of the orcs, keeping their minions from running. So for now, Kazu and Mia plan on preparing for the next worst thing. But then suddenly, the group was teleported to the white. All the girls managed to level up except Kazu. But before anything else, Kazu informs Ari and Tamaki about what he heard from Shiki. Since he has them all save their skill points, Kazu wants them to level up once more before fighting the elite orcs. Specifically, leveling up their main skills. Thankfully, they have a good source of exp for now because of the number of enemies. Tamaki started getting all pumped up about it again. As the atmosphere starts getting tense, Kazu realizes that Tamaki probably wants to succeed in a hurry. She is probably thinking she doesn't make up for her failure in the girls' dorm and that she'll be left behind by everyone. So instead of discouraging her, Kazu decided to just give her confidence. Meanwhile, he also tells Mia to cast 2 earth pits and rampage plants, which is the party's triumph card. And before anything else, he also reminded Ari and Tamaki to retreat in case something bad happens, since Kazu will use most of his MP to strengthen everyone. He also gave Tamaki a slight confidence, stating that he is counting on her. But Kazu also didn't fail to remind her not to get carried away and get herself again. Now, with a plan in mind, the party made it back to the outside world. Since Kazu and the party are planning to use their triumph card, Kazu tells Shiki to make everyone evacuate from the forest at once. To have a better view of the enemies, Mia climbed up the tree and aimed for her targets. Mia immediately cast her magic, causing every orc in sight to get restrained all at once. While everyone is busy, Kazu almost ended up dying if it weren't for Ari's quick move. That is why as soon as they went back to the white room, the girls immediately checks up on him, asking him if he is alright. Kazu immediately assures them that there is no need to worry about anything. And then suddenly, Tamaki asks Kazu to pat her head. Although weirded out by the odd request, Kazu still went on to do as Tamaki asks. In the end, Mia and Ari also waited for their turn. After that, the party went back to the outside world to continue their fight. Seeing how far his team has grown made Kazu excited to increase his support magic to rank 4. With Kazu's support magic, the girls' weapons and armor remain strong. Even their clothes won't get penetrated by the orc's spear at this point. Since Kazu does not have enough MP left to cast haste on the girls, he wants them to defeat the normal orcs while they can for now. Kazu then asks Mia what is the status of the rampage plant. According to Mia, it is about to end soon. So instead of doing it again, Kazu wants her to save her MP for 3 heat metals. Since Kazu only has enough MP to cast Reflection once, he wants Ari and Tamaki to wait until the effect of the rampage plant finishes. He then tells them that he is counting on them not to be reckless. However, despite that, the two still went straight to the orcs. Since their skills are so overpowering, the normal orcs started running away in hopes of escaping. But even that is something out of their options since the elite orc itself will start smashing them if they turn back. Now that's all for today's video. Comment orc if you want to see the next part of this series. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. As always, thanks for watching.